Hey guys, Tris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is November 1st, 2022, and let's get over the news happening in Ukraine, shall we? So today I wanted to start with the narrative that I've been hearing quite often that Russia can continue this war for 5, 10 years, maybe forever, because their army is so mighty. The reality is, if we look at the numbers, and this post really puts it into really good context, in just 8 months of fighting since February 24th, Russia's already lost 72,000 personnel, soldiers, 2,700 tanks, 5,500 armored vehicles, and almost 500 helicopters and aircrafts. And they've also lost quite a few ships as well. So the reality is that it's not even a year in, and they've pretty much it's been a disaster for the Russian army overall. If you would think of any other European country, this would pretty much total the entire army being destroyed right there. And, if we also look at historically speaking, even the United States and Vietnam, when they spent about 10 years fighting there, they didn't lose even that much during 10 years of fighting. And here we're talking about a year. Yes, the Ukrainian losses are there, and we did lose a lot as well of our own personnel, and it could be about the same, a little bit less perhaps, but we know what we're fighting for, and we're going to fight until the end. The Russians still to this day are very confused as to why they're there, except for obviously the monetary, the financial gains that they can get from, looting and also the government paying heavy bonuses for soldiers prior to the mobilization, of course, to go fight in Ukraine. So I give Russia really a year maximum for this war to end. I think we could still be talking in a year from now, Russia continuing their aggressive actions against Ukraine, but I think at that point they'll be on the losing point, and I think that there'll be more talks about very serious negotiations from the Russian side if Putin is still alive and not deposed by his own gang of crooks. We'll see. In other news, in Bakhmut, Russian forces continue to suffer huge losses in the Bakhmut and Avdiivka directions, which is in Donetsk. Failed frontal assaults are hugely costly. Again, I can confirm that because the past week or two, I'm not going to showcase these videos because they're very graphic, but I have seen multiple videos in that direction of Russians trying to attack the Ukrainian positions through, armored vehicles and tanks, and they're just getting blown out. They're hiding behind, a tree cover, and then we have the drones as well that can drop the grenade from above. And there have been multiple videos I've been watching of just Russian soldiers being used as a meat wave and nothing less, nothing more. And that's what the numbers are just exponentially higher in terms of losses in the last few weeks. Like there was a day, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, where Russia lost 1,000 soldiers because they're just being sent to death. And in other news, in Svatove, so in Luhansk, the Luhansk and Donbas direction as well, some pro-Russian channels are saying that, well, here it says, как-то все не очень хорошо на нашем направлении, потихоньку сдают территории. So that means that not everything is great in our direction. We are slightly giving up some territory, meaning that we are advancing. And this is a pro-Russian Telegram channel. I did not post the entire picture of the channel, but I put the source here. So essentially, the Russians are giving up territory. I thought we would be much faster in conquering Svatove, but I think that the Russians really put a high importance in defending that front line. So I think that once we get through Svatove and the entire front line being defended, and if we look at the map here, Svatove, again, everybody I think is very familiar where it is. It's right here. I think the Russians are really putting an effort to really defend as much and as well as they can. But once we crush them through Svatove, I don't really think that they really put a lot of defenses afterwards in all the settlements afterwards. So I think that we're going to get a lot of ground after we get through Svatove and other smaller cities like Kremina and Rubizhne. The Russians really understand the importance of defending that front line. But again, who knows? Maybe they have set up multiple defense lines. So this is going to be a slower movement as well for us. It's to be seen and confirmed. But again, their pro-Russian Telegram channels are confirming that they are losing ground. So I'm expecting, hopefully within a week, some news that we're going to be close to the city and we take Svatove. Fingers crossed. So Turkey and Hungary are playing games. So Finland is urging Turkey and Hungary to swiftly prove Swedish and Finnish NATO bids. If you guys remember, back in April or May, Sweden and Finland officially wanted to join NATO, but who blocked them was Hungary and Turkey, and they're trying to play some games to get concessions in favor of geopolitical games and stuff like that. But you know in reality, I'm not really sure what kind of games they're playing. I know Erdogan from Turkey really wants to position himself as a leader in the region, who, every peace talks is going to go through Turkey, and he wants to position his country in a very like favorable side, which I understand. But these are short-term gains for, a long-term speaking, it's not going to look good for these two countries. They've already, and especially Hungary, which positioned itself in a more pro-Russian position, it's just going to look bad for the legacy of that country. And Turkey is sort of playing both sides, right? They're sort of helping Ukraine in certain ways, and they're sort of helping Russia in certain ways as well. So again, these two countries are not really going to be labeled in a favorable way down the line, in my opinion. So we'll have to see what they do, but I think I'm pretty confident that down the line, Finland and Sweden are going to be admitted to NATO. They're just excellent allies. They have so much to provide for NATO in terms of offensive and defensive capabilities. It's just a matter of seeing, when Turkey and Hungary are going to decide to prove this. In other news as well, the Russians are planning to put a fight in Kherson. So I admit, I believe I made a mistake here. I truly thought that the Kherson front was lost and the Russians were prepared to retreat. But it seems like they're putting up and they're planning to put up a fight in Kakhovka and Kherson. They're just retreating towards more defensible the positions. So my theory of the Russians blowing up the dam in Kakhovka isn't going to happen, in my opinion. At this point, I think that because they're planning to evict the residents at Kakhovka from the coastal zone means that they're really planning to set up heavy reinforcements there, and they're kicking out the civilians, so they're capable of really putting up very strong defenses. They realize that Ukrainians are trying to push through the coastal area of Kherson. If we look at the map of deep state, again, it's right around the Dnipro River here. So they're kicking out the people that are living right around here to set up heavy reinforcements. So we'll have to see how effective that will be. But the Russians are planning to stay here long term, and they're going to put a fight. So this is going to be a long-term fight as well for the next few months and during the winter. And the last news, which was very impressive and surprising, a Ukrainian commando mission. So according to Kyiv Post, Ukrainian commandos blew up 3 helicopter gunships at a Russian military airfield close to the Latvian border. And this is the Veretje Air Base in northwestern Pskov region. The facility is more than 500 kilometers, I think, away from Ukraine. And so 2 Kamaz 52 attack helicopters were destroyed, and a third was badly damaged by the Ukrainian special forces. And if we look at the map where it was, actually, they didn't really say properly where it was. I actually had to find it myself. Give me 1 second here. If I can get through the actual Google Maps, it is right here. So if I zoom out, it says that Pskov is actually much further away. It's actually here, and the Latvian border is right here. But the actual airfield is in Ostrov, which is much more south of the city of Pskov in Russia. And you can see that the airfield is right here. So this is the military base of the Russian army. And so the Ukrainian commandos managed to infiltrate this base and destroy 3 rather modern attack helicopters from the Russian army. So very impressive. And I mean, there's so many stories of this happening in Russia where our forces infiltrate certain, military facilities and infrastructure, and we managed to, destroy them. So again, I'm really looking forward to hearing these stories once this war is over about the heroism and the courageousness of our forces that are really doing crazy work in Ukraine and in Russia. And to finish it off, I have a few videos I want to share with you guys. So let's take a look. So this is essentially a Russian barrack and its condition. So let's take a look. Mold all over the place. Disgusting. Again, zero assault rifles. No plumbing is working. Air hits cold. Anyways, I'm not gonna bother you guys with the entire video, but yeah, that's the reality. Again, the Russian soldiers are being met with little help by the Russian army. They're unprepared and they're being sent to die in the worst conditions possible. So, yeah, it's just very interesting to continue seeing these videos and the soldiers clearly seeing the problems at hand, and they're not doing anything about it. The other video is Bakhmut, and again, this city is being pulverized to pieces by the Russian army, and it's so heroic that our forces are still holding their ground. I believe this is a phosphorus attack, which is again against Geneva Conventions to use such weaponry, but the Russians don't care, especially because you can see that they're using them in civilian neighborhoods. But let's take a look at the city of Kherson, or I should say Bakhmut. My apologies. You can see all the fire, um, horrendous conditions. Yeah. So that's the reality. Our soldiers are fighting under all this rubble, all this, intense combat and artillery from the Russian side. I don't really know why they're putting so much effort into Bakhmut. They think it's a key to some sort of, major blitzkrieg if they get through it, but I don't think that. And I think the Ukrainians understand the severity if Bakhmut falls as well. And we'll have to wait and see, but the Ukrainians are doing, the soldiers are doing heroic stuff here. And the medics and everybody that is involved here it truly deserves a medal for what they're doing here. And last video is because I was talking about, Russians really trying to reinforce Kherson. You can see that in this video, the Russian army is pushing and driving uh, concrete bunkers towards that front. So they're preparing to really fortify their positions out there. And you can see that they're transporting these really big concrete bunkers towards the front line. I mean, look at the condition of that roads. Pretty bad. So that's it, guys. Again, thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate your support. Leave me comments about what you think, if you truly think that the Ukrainian army will be able to take Kherson by the end of this winter, because it seems like it's going to be a long-term fight there, as I thought it wouldn't be, but it's possible that people can be wrong. Let me know about that and subscribe if you haven't to my channel. If you enjoy my content, I really appreciate the support. And please, if you can, donate to the Ukrainian army, to any donation that is towards the Ukrainian, helping the Ukrainian people is very appreciated. And again, thank you. Take care, guys.